I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. I'd like to welcome Diluted to the podcast. Hi.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself to everybody.
My name is Diluted. I'm a fox, I guess. I'm a kitsune VTuber.
Yeah.
I guess would be the optimal answer to that.
Now you have to use the right terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're very different. One of them is magic, I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one kind of lives in your yard when you don't want him to.
I mean, we kind of do that for like 50 years first.
Yeah.
We get to enjoy the life.
Yeah, that's right. When did you get started with the VTuber stuff?
So VTubing itself, I only started last year, I want to say, towards like the latter half of last year.
Mm-hmm.
No, shoot, the year before that.
Okay.
I'm kind of dumb. I did it like late 2023, I want to say.
Yeah, a little over a year. Well, about a year and a half.
Or was it 20? I'm really bad at dates. It might have been late 2020. I've done it for either a year or a little over a year. And before that, I was still a streamer for like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you a live cam streamer? Did you show your face at all on the streams, or?
What I did was I wore a mask and sunglasses for a little while because I was a fan of another content creator named Ronbu at the time. And people said that I sounded like him because of the way I talked.
Yeah.
So I wore a mask and glasses and did face cam content for a while, playing just like Minecraft.
Right.
And eventually I was like, this isn't working for me. I'm very uncomfortable on camera because I wasn't happy with how I looked.
Yeah.
And found a free VTubing model service. What was it? I think it was Vroid was what it was called.
Right. And
it had like a built-in model creator, and then I had to find something called VC Face that would actually track and upload the model.
Huh. So I mean, you found. So do you actively searched for it, or did it kind of just show itself to you?
Little bit of both. Originally, I knew I wanted to switch up something. I wasn't sure specifically what, but I knew I wanted something to change. And then as I was on the internet, I noticed that there were some people that had like these models that would just exist. They had these characters that would represent themselves. I was like, that is awesome. How do they do it? My first thought was, oh, this costs a lot of money. So I kind of dropped the idea for a little bit.
Right. And
it sat in the back of my mind like, this is something I want to do someday. And then eventually, I think I was just looking around at VTuber stuff as a whole, and I stumbled upon Vroid on like a Reddit forum, I want to say.
Yeah, and everything kind of added up.
I mean, I was like, you know what? This will be a good starting point. I can start with something at the very least to get myself off camera. It was very jank. I'm not saying the surfaces were bad. I'm just saying it was definitely jank.
Yeah, I mean,
my camera was not positioned well. The model was like not at all tuned to best work with me, but it was a model, so I took it.
Well, I mean, nobody's first time out there trying something different is going to work, 100%. That's part of the deal. I mean, you're going to learn as you go, and at that point, if you tried it and you didn't like it, you weren't out a whole lot of money and time and everything at that point. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I have 3 older variants of my current model on Vroid still. I refuse to delete it just so I always have them and I can go check on them. It's cool to like look back at where you started and see what original designs were, and I can still remember like a lot of the changes that I added, like why they were added.
Was it just, were you kind of shaping your character as you were going, or did you know exactly once you saw the what Vroid did for you, did the lore come to you, or did you come to it?
I guess the best way to explain it is I knew I wanted to be a fox because that was kind of the animal I resonated with the most. But from that point on, it was pretty much just stumble around and figure out what worked. Like originally, all I knew was I wanted to be a fox and I wanted a hoodie. That is it. And eventually that moved into, okay, well, I have these two dark eyes. What if I made one of them a different color?
Yeah.
And then it moved on to, well, I'm all black. I could use some specks of orange to give it a more fox feel.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, what if I became a kitsune instead of just a fox? And
Right.
then eventually, I think the last change I made, because I've had glasses from the start, those were always there. But the last change I made was, what if I gave my character whiskers, which are what I call the little like marks on a kitsune character's face.
Right.
For me, they're like little sevens that point inwards, like just below the eyes and on the cheek.
Yes.
I call them whiskers. They don't really have like a consistent name.
Yeah. I'm surprised they don't have some type of mystic name from the time BC.
You would think.
Yeah, it'd be
Well, I think the reasoning for that is the reason they exist were more so like a modern interpretation to show more so like, hey, this is an animal character. It's really popular among like cat girls as well.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's more of bringing the legend to life type sort of thing.
Sorta, yeah.
Yeah, rather than explaining the whole thing out, because some things don't need to be explained all the way out. You just
Sometimes things just work.
yeah, it's like watching the Transformers movie. You don't watch that to find the plot. You go watch it to things blow up. That's
Pretty much. You definitely don't try to consider how these giant robots fit into like a small SUV.
oh no no or become a small SUV
Exactly.
in that case, or people. Uh, if you mentioned Minecraft, the Minecraft movie. I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it, but my grandson's going to watch it, and or I think he already has watched it and he enjoyed it. But when
It
you
was
watch, you
actually,
see a movie like that, you're not waiting for Shakespeare. You're,
yeah.
I
It
mean,
was honestly, I went and watched it. It was surprisingly enjoyable. It wasn't like anything game breaking. The story was definitely off the walls and decisions made no sense, but it was still an enjoyable little
yeah.
experience.
I mean, first of all, it has Jack Black, so it's you're not going to win an Oscar probably for it, but you might laugh a lot. That's the whole point of these things. And
Pretty much how it goes.
yeah, it's something that doesn't take itself too seriously, and which is
Hmm.
always fun, I think, in the long run. When you got started with streaming in the first place, what brought you to it? What gave you the decision to go ahead and get online streaming?
I blame three things, and two of them are people. The first one was Markiplier. I have
Hmm.
watched Markiplier since I was probably, I shouldn't probably give it an whatever. Since I was probably about like 14.
Hmm.
So it's been like 6 years of just watching Markiplier. He's the only content creator that to this day I still go back and will watch a lot of his newer content, regardless of what he makes. Watched him for years, fucking loved what he did.
Yeah.
Then Ronbu. Ronbu was around during like the Dream SMP popularity era.
Uh-huh.
I was never that into the whole thing, but he specifically, I enjoyed him a lot. I drew a lot of association with him. Thought he was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's where I got the mask and glasses idea before becoming a VTuber.
Right.
He also used a VTuber model before I did, and that was one of the points that helped to draw my attention to VTubers and the fact that they exist.
It. I'm. I would be surprised if people who did that, who used masks or something else, wouldn't go ahead and switch over because I would think it would be easier to maintain. Maybe I'm
Sort
wrong
of?
about that, but it's or maybe easier to get the entire presentation you want to make with the character.
It kind of varies. I just yesterday I was on stream with my mask because something I like to do just for fun is like anytime playing horror games like Poppy Playtime or The Joy of Creation, games like that,
Oi.
I'll wear the mask and have my face cam on.
Mm,
And the two biggest differences I'd say is that whenever you have your model, obviously they can see a face. The face will be expressive and such.
right.
But there is a point where the model is also limiting.
Hmm.
Like, there are smaller details you're not going to see on the model. Like, if your eyes widen with my model, all that happens is the eyebrows go up. There's not a whole lot of, like, extreme detail being noticed. But, like, when it's a person's face, it's easier to recognize those small details and notice their reactions.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't. And there are some folks who are online. I've interviewed a few of them with just amazingly reactive faces with
Hmm.
their characters. One that I interviewed very early on, Bo Sheep. Um, she has very reactive facial expressions, which are all the difference in the world to
Hmm.
how she does things. She's very a lot of her streams are talking with the audience and chatting sort of thing. So it does make a lot of sense. But in this particular field, you don't have to spend $1 million to to get across what you want to get across.
Hmm.
And and if you go in and spend $2,000 on a model and getting it rigged up, and you don't like anything after a week, then yeah, by golly, I could have used that $2,000 if you're going to throw it away.
Honestly, I've definitely seen people who have too much like disposable income will throw it all on a model
Yeah.
and then just like don't like it. They don't enjoy VTubing.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of it is I don't know if this is still as common, but back when I was looking into it, a big misconception people seem to have is that for a model to be good, it has to be like an expensive model. And
Mm-hmm.
not in the sense of more money equals better model, in the sense of a model physically can't do the things you want it to unless you spend a lot of money to.
Right. Right.
Which, although isn't fully true, there are elements to it. My model is limited in a lot of ways, yes, but a lot of the expressions that you can give it come from something called puppeteering,
Mm-hmm.
which is where, well, we call it puppeteering,
Right.
where like adding extra movement. Like when you're normally talking, you don't usually have a whole lot of head movement, but making a lot of head movement, making expressive facial movements. Like when you're talking, just make your mouth really wide open so that way the model translates that and opens the mouth
Yeah.
more. It gives
Yeah.
a more accurate talking type of motion.
Yeah.
Just things like that.
The one thing that crossed my mind, and people are going to hate me for this probably, but the Muppets.
Uh-oh. It's like that, but your face, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, I mean it's the Muppets are basically hand puppets for the most part, but
Hmm.
they have to they create different things by of course the volume of voice and that, but they have to wider, lower, side. There's a limited amount of movement they can do, but they have to express themselves somehow, express emotions that way. And I imagine if you had a fairly stoic looking character with little mouth movement, it was pretty tough to do.
Yeah, that's what a lot of think like in movies with characters like Spider-Man or Iron Man.
Hmm.
Not so much Iron Man, but characters like Spider-Man
Hmm.
who have a mask on most of the time.
Yeah.
The way they solve that is by making the character move super expressively. A lot of hand motions, a lot of like body movements. Like specifically Andrew Garfield Spider-Man's the one I like to refer to.
Yeah.
They make the characters super physically expressive to make up for the fact that they're not visually expressive.
Uh, yeah. It does make a big difference, and
Mhm.
I imagine sometimes it's not even them in the costume doing it.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, which is something else. But the so how quickly did you get used to having a avatar for yourself on screen?
I guess it depends on which part you're referring to. If you mean using it, it was pretty instant. I kind of just turned my brain off and was like, yeah, I mean, they can see me, I guess. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
That was all there was to it on paper. It's just they can see my character. I didn't really look into. I'm a naturally expressive. I'm a naturally expressive person, so I didn't have a lot of problem with puppeteering at a base level,
Hmm.
and getting used to it in the sense of me looking over to my left and seeing the character was very strange for a little while. the There's this really fun phase you get when you get like a proper model or
Yeah.
even like the original 3D model I was using
Hmm.
where you just kind of sit there and you stare at it and you'll like move your mouth in ways and see it move its face and like it mimic your movements.
Yeah.
It's like when you like look into a mirror and you just kind of like mess with yourself except it doesn't look like you and it's super cool. It's definitely silly, but it's fun.
Well, I mean, that's the biggest part of it, isn't it? Is having fun.
Hmm.
If you're going on and you're not having fun, what are you doing? Um,
Wasting time.
yeah, I mean, it's even the most um, nickel and dime operation is still work to get up and going and have the right equipment that'll work and work together with programs you cobble together. It's still quite a bit of work. Um, what are you getting out of it right
Not money, I can promise you that.
now? One of us.
I very rarely get any money from Twitch. The big thing I guess I get, this is my safe space, is the simplest way to explain it.
Yeah.
The part of the reason I started streaming was I needed somewhere that I felt like I could outwardly be myself.
Mm.
Like, genuinely, completely true to myself and do the most random things, whatever I felt. I don't know, just have somewhere I can put it.
Yeah.
Originally, I was doing this on like a PlayStation.
Oh yeah. I've talked to a
I, I
lot of people who started like that now. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't have a computer.
Yeah.
I still don't have a proper computer. I'm using a laptop.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a laptop for my main computer, and it is making funny sounds now, and
Oh yeah.
it it hasn't had a proper screen for many years. Um,
Oh, like a monitor.
yeah, I've used a different monitor for it. It was just that good a computer at the time. But
Hmm.
now it's starting to complain. The
Mine's definitely angry at me
Yeah,
anytime I load up a game and
yeah,
start streaming. It
yeah.
doesn't like running a model on top of a game. I tried playing like the Dead Space remake, and my computer literally would not move at times. Like it would freeze so often. It was awful. I was like, is this gonna explode?
You'd gone from free movement to glacier. No, at no
Yeah.
time at all. And that's something that I think you know creators and VTubers especially need to realize too is that the more you do with your model, the more computer it takes up. Um,
Hmm.
and that may leave you not so much to do with your, and it doesn't have anything to do with how much memory you have. You could have, well, what's, quadribytes. I don't know what's after terabytes, but you could have that much, but the speed of your computer isn't up to it, and then it's just not going to be up to it. Uh,
Yeah, things like RAM and GPU, I think, are especially strong with
mhm.
not RAM. CPU and GPU are especially strong importances with your VTuber model.
Right,
I've
right,
noticed it eats up the most of my GPU, I want to say,
yeah,
out of like all my resources.
yeah. It's like having an older computer and trying to run Chrome.
Chrome.
Every once in a while, you just get one of them that runs up the entire CPU.
That's how
Right?
I feel with like Opera.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, especially
Hmm.
at work
I
where
love
something like that
Opera
happens.
to death, but like anytime I open Opera GX, my entire computer freezes for like a solid second while it opens.
Yeah, yeah, it's trying to figure out where to stuff this stuff. Put a little here, a little there, a little there, a little there. Defragmenting your computer is probably a good idea every once in a while. Um, and I'm taking you way back to the old early days of computing where you definitely had to defragment it, otherwise you didn't have any space.
I've actually never heard of that. Defragmenting?
Oh well, okay. A little bit of a history lesson from the old man. Um, in the early computers, not like the Commodore 64, but the ones that were on the internet and such, you had if you put a program onto a disk, uploaded it, it wouldn't necessarily save it all in the same area of the disk.
Hmm.
If you had it would fill in spaces in the disk as it went along, so you could have a program spread out among the entire disk drive rather than in one combined area, which makes it a little tougher to run and it makes it they had to jump around to find the program. Also, when you took a program off, sometimes it didn't take the entire program off the disk, leaving you with little fragments of program taking it up. And it was really
I,
messy and made it slow.
That sounds so fun. I sure love when I uninstall my 8 GB YouTube video and then there's still like 4 GB of it left over.
Exactly. And it wasn't just like, you know, you could reach in and grab a whole bunch of it in one handful. It's here, there, and everywhere. Maybe one little portion on this part, one big portion of this part. And you had to run what was called a defragmenter, and it took forever. But what it would do is grab all those little pieces, reassemble them, and then layer them on top of each other so you'd have a large open space left at the end. And especially for those early computers, it did help a lot because you didn't have, mega billibytes on there. You had, whatever, 2 bytes, and you had to go through that because we actually had computers you could fill up, and that wasn't a big help back then. But these days,
There was a time where a gigabyte was in fact a giga.
yes, yes, my first computer was 64K, so
Oh wow.
yeah, with Commodore 64, which at the time was the thing. I mean, it was the hot
High tech.
potatoes there. Yeah. I was joking with someone the other day. I started in radio back in the mid '80s or early mid '80s.
Really?
My first election that we covered was the second Ronald Reagan election, which tells you exactly how old I really am.
I'm
Um,
really good at history.
yeah. Well, we had a computer there. That our news guy was like, "Hey, we got a computer here." Well, it was basically an adding machine. There was no internet in 1984. There wasn't anything. You couldn't really do anything other than put the numbers in and had it add together and print it out, maybe. But
Big calculator.
yeah, it was a big calculator and typewriter if you were lucky, um, and it was slower than your basic typewriters and stuff. But um, the difference, of course, now is phenomenal. But you still have sometimes you get so much in your hardware that you're trying to put too much water through the tube, and you're only going to get a certain amount of performance out of it anyway.
Hmm.
So I think people should really take a look at what your computer can do before you decide on some games. Have you had a situation? You already mentioned one game I think we had trouble with
Hmm.
having the model. Are there other ones that come to mind that you've had trouble with?
I mean, Dead Space was definitely a case of me pushing my computer a little too hard.
Mm-hmm.
There are some games like A Way Out,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the two people escaping prison game.
Right. Right.
That game would lag my computer on occasion, even without my model.
Mm,
Like if I was just streaming it with like a little PNG character.
right. Yeah.
Another game, I mean, if I'm not careful, Street Fighter 6 would would lag it a little bit. I haven't even opened it, but I guarantee like Baldur's Gate 3 will destroy my computer because it costs 143 gigabytes to download,
Wow.
and I don't have that much space right now.
I did that
In
with.
total, I only have like 475.
Yeah. Well, I downloaded or I bought Fallout 4 and then found out that my computer does not have the capability to actually run Fallout 4. Um, so I got the title screen up eventually, and then of course, I don't know that much about computers, so I asked their forums about it, and they just laughed at my computer. Like, there's no way that you're gonna. First of all, you don't have a video card. Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it was a laptop I'm trying to run it on, so it didn't really
Hmm.
adapt to it. So, I mean, whenever I decide to upgrade the computer, I guess I might try playing Fallout 4. Um, but the computer I use for this is only for this. I've kept
Hmm.
I've kept myself from downloading a bunch of games on here to do it. It does make a big difference. So, as far as what you're doing right now on stream, what games are you playing on stream right now?
I'm a self-proclaimed variety streamer, so I'm pretty inconsistent. As of late, I'm supposed to be playing Hollow Knight. However, I have played maybe some Hollow Knight, did a random like stream where I called it a color tier list, but I started putting things on there like one of my viewers, YouTube as an entirety, part of the tier list, X as a forum. I put Mario on there, Matt Pat. So we got a little off topic.
Just a tier list, and then you went from there.
It was a color tier list, and then it was an everything tier list. It was for April Fools. That was the joke.
I like
And
that.
then I played like Repo is a game that I did. I did Fox Simulator because someone bought that for me months ago, and I was like, you know what? I might play this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? That would
I
make
mean,
sense.
you'd think it was actually a surprisingly enjoyable little game. It definitely got like abandoned. I can tell by how long it's been since an update, but it
Yeah,
was an enjoyable little game. If they came back to it, I could see it being something really fun.
yeah.
And then I've done a lot of drawing, and that's all I have to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, drawing and doing that online to me is, well, first of all, drawing for me is actually against the law. It's That's how bad I do
What?
it. Um, Secondly, would be absolutely frightening for me to do that in front of somebody else and know that they are watching. How?
Oh, it's terrifying.
I mean, is it really terrifying for you right now?
Well, I'm not good at arts, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But there's a difference between not good at art and committing war crimes while doing it. That's where I'm at.
Was-
Uh, but you're actually doing it in front of people on purpose.
Yep,
You
and it actually tends to do well. People really like it for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. Are they backseat artists?
Not usually. Usually, I think what happens is a lot of people love just stopping by just to talk.
Mm,
So art streams are the most common location for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Recently, I've been doing a lot of like very specific themes of like, you ever heard of Amori?
Yeah. Maury Amsterdam. He was on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Okay, so that is not what I'm talking about. There's a game called Amori that has like a very easy to pick out style, and I've basically just been trying to recreate that style while drawing my friends
Hmm.
with with that being the whole gimmick pretty much.
Yeah, yeah,
I enjoy it.
yeah,
I've been wanting to get back into art because I did for a little while, but I
yeah.
was disgusted with my art progress. I was not doing well. And
Mm.
then I didn't touch art for like months and I came back and suddenly I was better
Well,
because apparently that's how that works.
sometimes it does. Are you self-taught?
There are other ways to be taught.
Yeah,
I thought with art it was like you it's tell self-taught with a YouTube video. That's about all you get.
yeah. Well, sometimes that's better than because I have talked to some folks who have gone to special classes or gone to post high school art classes, and the first
Mhm.
thing they do is take away your individuality and put you in a as a do A, B, and C, and that's your art, and really kind of takes that individual out of it. You talk about you get people who get mad at AI and then try to pigeonhole people into art that looks the same. What's the
Mhm.
difference?
I
You,
feel like the reason people hate AI art is because AI art it's the same thing as like it's fearing this is a really old history thing that might be completely wrong, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Go ahead.
Wasn't there a time where like miners didn't want trains to be involved with mining
Oh, absolutely.
because yeah, it's that same idea
Yeah.
where people don't want AI to be involved because the AI can completely remove their jobs. Also, it just looks really bad
Yeah,
in
it
a lot
does.
of cases right now.
It does. Sometimes
But
hilariously bad, but bad.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
comedically awful at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I think the kind of limit that should be put on it should just be like you can't make money off of stuff if you're using it.
Yeah. Well,
Like you can't, I can't remember what that's called, commercialize AI art or
right.
use it for promotion.
Yeah, but I think eventually it's going to have to be where you use it as a tool to create it,
Yes.
not as
It
someone
should
to generate the original idea to do it. Like,
It should be a supporting tool. I think that's perfectly fine. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Like, we're using technology to help those who can't and enhance those who can.
yeah, yeah. If you want to see how AI affects or computerization affects an industry, look at radio. Um, we went from every station having local announcers to some stations having no announcers and getting all their stuff off the satellite or people recording it at home and sending it in,
Hmm.
and YouTube commercials with AI announcers,
Hmm.
which never buy any product that does that because if they're not cheap enough to give a cheese sandwich to a radio guy to do the commercial, because we're very cheap, we take anything, and they wouldn't even do that. It's they don't think a lot about their product, but um, it
It's
affects a lot.
dramatic.
Yeah, it affects a lot of people who are performers. Singers are just going to get nailed over the next couple of years with it.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and once that gets better and better, well, uh, why schedule a live singer when you can have the hologram show up and do it perfectly? Um,
Hmm.
and
Again, I think that's a case of like it should be used to help others, not do it for you.
mm,
I'm also now just thinking of this scene where like it's a radio host who's like, I don't do radio anymore, and then a guy shows up with like a cheese sandwich and is like, come back to us.
hey,
And
I
he's
can tell
like,
you
I'm in.
the draw is there.
I
And
mean, me personally, I'd do a lot of work for a cheese sandwich.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you'd be great for radio. I mean, you had a good voice for it. Um,
I've been told that. A lot of people like my voice.
yeah. The problem is you wouldn't make any money unless you were in a big market and your relative was the owner or something. It's just not there anymore. Not that it was that big when I was in it. Uh, so reason why this is kind of therapy for me is I get to be behind the microphone and talk with interesting people like yourself and and scratch that itch. What what itch does VTubing scratch for you?
Firstly, thanks for the compliments. Secondly, I think just I have okay, I'm a weird mix. I'm a shy and introverted kind of person,
Uh huh.
but I'm really good at being extroverted when I want to and when I can.
Yeah.
And my social life off of the internet is basically non-existent. I don't have friends in this town.
Mm,
So in a way, this is literally a necessary component of my life because, and I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Socializing is very important to that.
mm.
And I don't have that without streaming. That was part of why I started it. I was very lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. And it once you once you kind of get the taste of tapping into a new uh, group of people, you really want to keep going with that. I've compared it a little bit to if you went to high school and you had a certain amount of people you hung out with, but then you go to college and now all the slate's clean.
Oh yeah.
And this is what going on to the internet with a VTuber um, analog or whatever is you kind of run the slate clean and now you get to reintroduce yourself and be who you want to be.
Hmm.
Um,
That's kind of what happened to me in college, except I tried making friends in college and nobody was interested. It was kind of awful. Like I would go to people, I would try to see them consistently, just nobody wanted to be friends, it felt like.
yeah,
People had their friends they brought from high school. I
yeah,
made one, well, two friends
mm, yeah.
in college, and I don't talk to either of them anymore, really.
They're
Which
probably
is
they're probably in your audience. You don't even know it.
one of them is he stops by on like rare occasions just to be like, update me on the fact that hey, I'm alive. This is what I'm doing.
Have you had that before, where somebody outside, but beside who you just talked about, somebody outside the internet uh, re- figures out what you're doing and then comes on your stream?
My mom used to stop by on my streams and like she wouldn't tell me she was there. She would just do it. And she'd just like watch me and judge me. I'm glad she doesn't anymore because I already know she's not a fan of how I act here.
That's not how I raised you.
There was a lot of change that happened after I went to college. I'll say that much for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you find out a little bit, a lot more about who you are, for one thing, and I can say this: my 40-year high school reunion, and I am that old, uh, was extremely interesting. Better than a 10-year reunion, I'll tell you that, because we all lived entirely new lives since then, and we
Hmm.
fully more developed into the people that we were going to be. And this opportunity for a lot of folks here on the internet is a chance to maybe not reset completely, but start from a different place. Um,
Hmm.
your starting line isn't from ground zero, but your starting line is from 6 or 7 steps ahead with a different bunch of people you're running with. That and for some people that's really big for them, and for people who are limited socially, it's like you said, almost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say this step was definitely something important to my development in my life.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I want to say in a positive way. I hope so.
yeah, yeah.
Just about every single friend I have was met through streaming.
Cool. That's perfectly fine. And the great thing is, remembering one of the great things is, you would never have met any of those people
Oh, absolutely
in
not.
other
All of them live
countries,
like
and
forever away.
yeah, I mean, and talking to people on the other side of the planet and all sorts of things is pretty amazing. Saying all that, are you where you thought you'd be after a little over a year, or are you further, or have you not caught up to it yet?
I'm in a weird in-between state.
Mm,
I used to trust this website that would like take your information and give you an estimate of how big you'd be
mm,
after a period. And way back in the day when I first started, I was hoping to be at like I want to say 100 by the end of the year,
mm-hmm,
and it took me like 2 years to get to 100. I
mm-hmm.
didn't do it consistently, and I'd say until I truly started VTubing.
Right.
That's when I like started putting in a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like I'm growing faster than feel like I could.
Right. Right. Well,
There's obviously there's like the oh man, I hope to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, but like
well, what
really,
would
I'm still growing faster than I imagined I would, so I'm happy with it.
what
It's
would
slow, but it's progress.
I mean, what would you do if you were streaming and suddenly somebody hit you with a 950 person raid?
Panic. I don't know how to entertain that many people, and I know for a fact at least like half of those people are probably going to leave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But well, I mean, after they get their points, uh, and and again, it's not really a question of getting the people to tune in, because people will do that. They used to do that in radio, and you can use whatever gimmick you want to, or advertisement. It's keeping them there, and it's the personality
Hmm.
that keeps them there. And sounds like you've been able to build maybe a little slower than you thought, but at least a good foundation with that, of people that are coming back.
I'm pretty happy with my community and my consistent viewers.
Yeah. When you realize that they're coming back for you, when the realization hits that, hey, they're coming back for you, how'd that hit you?
We're still in that phase where I don't believe that yet. I had that really early on where I was like, man, these are people that consistently show up just to like talk and hang out.
Yeah,
And then you go through this period of like, I mean, they might,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
I just treat everybody like they're friends, regardless of like how many times I've seen them.
Yeah, that's a good way to do things.
You gotta
And
be careful though. Parasocialism bad.
yeah, it is, and it happens in any type of industry like this. It even happened in radio, where
Hmm.
you get to play Misty for me, watch that movie, and then decide whether you really wanted to be in radio or not. Um, I'm so old.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm
Comes with, or no, it brings wisdom.
yeah, yeah. Don't tell my wife that. Um, she'll bring you wisdom, all right.
Oh no.
So what have you got any big plans coming up for the channel?
I have concepts.
Mm.
Nothing I could like afford, but I have ideas. That's kind of the big holdback. If I had money, I'd be doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Oh, I know I would too. Yes, like paying my bills.
That's the biggest one. I'm in a
Yeah,
pretty good situation where bills are not a concern for me. I
good.
try not to take that for granted, but
Yeah, yeah. Well,
it is.
it's having that importance and having the things in order and know what is important for you to get taken care of. In that,
Mhm.
where is VTubing for you right now? How important is it for
Pretty high.
you?
Like, I do school. I'm a full-time college student at the moment.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I mean, I know I shouldn't, but being pretty honest, they're pretty close in importance. But it once again comes down to that hierarchy of needs. This is where my social life lies for the most part,
Hmm.
with like streaming and communicating.
Mm.
So it's got a high priority not only for that, but also because I understand consistency is one of the most important parts of being a content creator.
Yeah.
Because if you don't show up for like 2 months, I had a friend who did this. If you don't show up for like 2 months, it can tank your views for a little while.
Yeah. They tend to move on to other things.
I mean, they'll just forget you exist.
Yeah. Yeah. And while you don't want to just kind of throw yourself in their face all the time, you want to let them know, yeah, you're still here. It's something that they can depend on, and that
Mhm.
dependency creates the type of loyal viewer, watcher, listener that'll come back time and time again, and that's the base you want to draw from.
Mhm.
Mm. I'm
I
going back.
think part of what happened with me is I think part of what happened is I changed a lot
Mm.
in the last 2 years, I want to say. From my first year of college, when I went away from home and I lived alone with a roommate and had a lot of time to think and like figure out who I was.
Mm.
That did a lot for me, but it also caused a lot of change in how I like present myself, how I talk, how I act.
Right.
And I think that definitely impacted the pre-existing viewers,
Hmm.
but I think I've started to level out and have a consistent setup now, so people who show up are more likely to stick around.
Yeah. And those folks who have stuck around since the beginning are invaluable anyway, and were folks that were actually interested in you from the start.
Hmm
And
There's like this one guy, I always call him out anytime I see him.
yeah, it,
His name is Sakun, and he shows up on very rare occasions, and it'll usually just be like one message or a redeem to have me drink. And I'll always be like, "Hey, it's him. What's up, man? How are you?" Love him to death. He's just there,
yeah, yeah,
but like he's there.
yeah. He remembers you, and
Mhm.
he comes back, and that's always something. You get a chance to be just a little part of somebody else's life. Is
I think that's the scariest part.
Yeah, it is. It's scary, but it's also pretty cool when you get down
It's
to it.
super cool.
Yeah, and talking with you has been really cool. I really appreciate you coming on.
I
Um,
appreciate you allowing me.
and when you get some of these big old dreams of yours coming up, you let us know so we can promote it for you. Um,
I'd appreciate that, but I don't expect you to do much for me.
oh, you've been talking to my wife.
No, not like that.
She doesn't expect very much out of me either.
He's on to me.
That's
Secret
okay.
grandkid over here.
I will combat that by actually not doing anything. So there you go. Um,
Ah, perfect.
yes, it's all in the biggest plan. Um, I wish you the best, and I think you got a great outlook to this, and obviously you're enjoying yourself with it, and the people are enjoying them too. Otherwise, I wouldn't come back
Hmm
to it. And I hope you remember that, and it keeps you rolling, and you keep enjoying this VTuber sphere.
I appreciate it. I hope so as well. And I hope you get to continue enjoying your little interviews.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.